someone sabotaged Nord Stream 1 pipeline.
In a stadium, they brought out the Palestinian flag, and the whole stadium started shouting, "Shove that flag up your..."
I'd rather die at the hand of a Kremlin bullet than be given a samosa by a Pakistani. It's nice to be part of a club. It's nice to...
Yeah, but
nice
they were part of a club called Soviet Union. They don't really fancy that.
Well, why do they fancy NATO? I wonder. So which makes me think, was it an ambush? Was it intentional? Or did Zelensky goad them into that because he underneath it all, he really doesn't actually want to sign a mineral contract with America?
Well, I'm gonna ask a translator because I didn't understand any of that. I don't speak Russian, Justin, as you know. Anyway, so what do you think of what happened with the Zelensky and Trump and J.D. Vance?
Well, for those of you who have been living under a political and a diplomatic rock, yesterday, in the hallowed confines of the Oval Office, well, hallowed for some, there was a diplomatic spat between Vladimir Zelensky, the president, Indian president of the Ukraine, and Donald Trump, King Donald, and J.D. Vance, his underling. And I think it wouldn't be an understatement to say that quite possibly was the most unusual, awkward, unprecedented event that has ever occurred in the Oval Office, in its rhetoric, in its bellicosity, in its aggression. But there are serious implications for Ukraine. Obviously, diplomacy is at risk here. Territorial settlements, the mineral rights, American prestige has probably been dented as well. But I just don't like Zelensky, personally. So I was sitting there watching it and thinking, I wonder how the media is going to receive this. I wonder how he's going to be portrayed. I wonder if he's going to be characterized in the honest and truthful way that he should be characterized. In that he went there quite impudently, he went there quite rudely, he spoke over the president, he spoke over the vice president, and he spoke in terms of threatening language. And me personally, I think finally the veneer of Zelensky has come off and he's been emboldened by a number of countries and a number of political systems to the point where his ego is now driving foreign, military, and domestic policy in Ukraine rather than the blood, sweat, and toil of Ukrainian youth and treasure. So personally, it's a disaster for both. I think America have come out of that not completely unscathed. I think they treated him in an unbefitting way for a leader of state. But at the same time, Zelensky, come on, you went, as one of our friends said, you went to the bank and you fucking threatened the bank manager. That's what you did. So you were going to get cut off. And I think it's a shame for all of the brave Ukrainian soldiers. But at the same time, I'm not the massive fan of Zelensky. I think he needs to go. I think there needs to be regime change. And I think there needs to be a ceasefire. His ego didn't allow it.
Well, I'm gonna ask a translator because I didn't understand any of that. I don't speak Russian, Justin, as you know.
I'll be expecting my check from my paymaster in the Kremlin soon. Vladimir.
But, you know, they were paying a lot of streamers, right? Did you see that news? Like 3-4 months ago, they were paying. There was a company built, and they were like paying these streamers and YouTubers to do sort of pro-Russian stuff. And
so what,
they paid them.
So what? It happens on both sides, mate. It happens on both sides.
Both
you think
sides
there's not misinformation campaigns going on?
But I happen to be on one side, but you didn't seem to be. You happen to be on the other side.
But not on any side.
No, that's. I didn't say that it's wrong or anything, but you know, it's funny that you get defensive about it. I was just saying, like, that happened, that took place, and so because we were talking about, you know, paychecks, and that was, you know, that what actually happened to quite a few famous streamers, and they were getting paid a lot of money, like 1 million, not 1 million, I don't know, but a lot of money just for 1 or 2 videos, and you know, I don't know, it's 1 or 2 videos.
This is the modern world, Ashkan.
Yeah.
This is the modern world. I mean, if someone tried to pay us, would your journalistic integrity stop you from accepting £1 million? Tell me now. Would you turn down Lord Vladimir for £1 million for 2 videos? Would you turn it down?
I would, definitely. But we could always negotiate on
Do
the
you know what?
price.
When the money's there, when the money's there in front of you, come and talk to me differently again.
Yeah, well, as Trump would know, I'm a deal maker, so I wouldn't agree to something to money that isn't there. Let's negotiate first. Maybe I can squeeze a bit more money out of it.
These
You have to say
misinformation
no
campaigns happen on
first.
both sides.
You
You
have
have to
to
say
say
no
no
first and
first
then
anyway.
come back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but anyway,
I think it's
the
yeah.
thing is, what you were saying, that he was being rude, and like a lot of people said that. I think a lot of right wingers, those sycophants who love Trump, they said that he was being rude, he was put in his place. I haven't watched the whole thing throughout because it's just too
Wow,
embarrassing. Like
I
secondhand,
haven't watched the video, but I have an opinion. I haven't seen what's going on, but I have an opinion. I've never
it's it.
seen the color of the sky, but I know it's raining outside. I know it's
Uh,
not a Russian bot, but it must be. Wow, wow, the
uh, so
temerity,
so I
the
remember what
temerity.
I remember what you said about Zelensky, just cutting off people, and how rude you find it. It's funny that are you trying to be to be rude? Because I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen the ending and towards the end. I haven't seen the what happened in the beginning. I saw the one question from the journalist that's saying, why are you not wearing a suit? And I saw the last question and JD Vance interjecting, and then uh, Zelensky asking JD Vance a question, which I think it was a mistake. That was like a diplomatic mistake on JD, not JD, both JD Vance and Zelensky. But Zelensky should know better than start sort of questioning the vice president of US, like uh, what
For
are the
sure.
benefits? What are the like what can go wrong? He should have known. It might be that English is his second language and he didn't express himself, especially when he
Very
said you'll
true. That's
feel
true.
you, especially when he said you'll feel it later. I don't think he knew exactly what he was saying because it was sounding
I think
like
he meant it. I think he
I
meant it.
yeah,
He's
but
going
I
to
mean,
give it to
well,
him later. He's going to feel it later. Something's coming. Something hard's coming up for him later. You'll feel it too, Donald.
juvenile. But saying that that was like a big disaster, I don't believe that. Everyone keeps saying that. In 1 week time, it will be forgotten, and they still can make a deal. It's a
I
Trump
don't
world.
know.
You're not really.
I don't
You
know.
don't really like to
I don't
let
know.
people talk today,
No,
do you?
no, no. You're saying it's going to be forgotten all in 1 week, but with all due respect, the entire fallout within that Oval Office was the accumulation and build-up of grievances from Trump when Trump asked Zelensky to help him be re-elected by investigating Hunter Biden for his insalubrious business dealings in Ukrainian business entities. He's held that grudge ever since. And you saw the manifestation come out in that Oval Office meeting when he brought it back up. So to say it's
Yeah.
going to be forgotten in 1 week, I think is a bit misguided and myopic. I think that man holds a grudge. He doesn't like
Mm.
Zelensky. He never has. And Zelensky did more harm for his country and the prospects of his country going forward in that one inability to genuflect and to praise King Donald in the way that he ought to be praised, according to
Mm.
himself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think so. I don't. I still disagree. Like a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump called Zelensky a dictator, and then when he was asked a week later, did you call him dictator? He was like, "Did I?" That was
Did I?
quite funny actually. Did I?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Next
Did I?
question. I don't think I did. Even with this, is like, yeah, we had a bit of. He'll just brush it aside if they can make a deal. It's like, yeah, we had a bit of argument. That's what it is. We are being transparent. So in Trump's world, I don't think it's that much of a big issue, and it's just 1 month into the administration, and we have so many dramas, and I think there will be so much more drama that you'll forget about it completely. And I think they'll sort of patch it up with, I don't know, maybe JD Vance actually going to Ukraine and like having a tour or whatever. But they'll obviously Ukraine is in a worse position than they were before with what happened now then. in terms of PR, I think they can just patch it up. But in terms of actual making a deal, I think Ukraine is now probably in a worse place than they were before. But I think Trump do wants that mineral deal, and it's very important to him. So he'll try to probably squeeze more. And in in the end, it's not so like a I don't know. I'm on two minds about it. If it's actually like being squeezing someone like dry, like someone who's fighting a war, or if it's just being fair, saying like we'll help you, but help us back. But it is sort of imperialism as well. Like you're it's like a very much a 19th century imperialism. Like when in Iran wanted to, for example, get rid of the Portuguese, they asked the British and they helped them out and got rid of the Portuguese. But they said like we want to have an exclusive deal with you with trading. But that's how it works, I guess. I guess nobody know superpower gonna come and just help you out of goodness of their heart.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
Trump
I
is
don't.
just
I
way
think
too transparent about it. It's like, no,
exactly.
show me what you
It's a
got.
deal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's imperialism as much as it is neo-mercantilism. He's a
Mm,
businessman. He sees everything transactionally, and
mm,
about time too. Let's be honest. I don't know about you, but if I was a US citizen, I wouldn't like to be paying the bill for Ukrainian youth to be dying on the battlefield. It might be termed as neo-Merkelism, but you've got to balance the book somehow. You've got to make it make sense somehow. And there's a lot of credence to what he's saying about NATO not contributing their fair share, about the American nuclear umbrella being at the disposal of European nations and other nations around the world at very little minimal deficit cost. And there was a lot of truth to the fact that the Europeans need to muster up their own defense abilities and capabilities to defend aggression from nations within their own continent. There's a lot of truth to that. How he's going
yeah.
about it, it's a bit different to what we're normally used to because we're normally used to smoke and mirrors. He's just saying it how it is. I'm not saying that I
Mm,
agree with Trump, but the transactionality is refreshing. To be fair,
mm,
that if I were an American citizen, I'd like my political leaders to be trying to get their most bang for their buck, to be saying, hey, we're doing this here, we're getting this here, we're not funding it, we're not sending our boots on the ground, they're not taking us for a ride, we're not giving interest free loans, we're not giving grants out, we're getting something in return. We're balancing the budget, we're reducing the deficit, we're reducing our 31 trillion in debt, and therefore we're able to reinvest in infrastructure that's crumbling in like decadence. To be honest with you, I
mm.
get it.
Yeah, this reminds me of the situation in Iran with Iranian people and how they feel about the Palestinian cause. A lot of them. It's the same that people will be surprised like how they react to it. I think it was in like I don't know, a couple of weeks after 10th of October, in a stadium, they brought out the Palestinian flag, and the whole stadium started shouting, "Shove that flag up your." And you can't
Wow.
imagine that that happened in Iran. But the thing is, Iran has spent so much money there. Like the government has spent so much money for I don't know what result that like the people are like we are suffering ourselves. I don't know, like and
That's,
like
that's
even
it.
as children, we were always like fed this like the Palestinian children are suffering, but because everyone in Iran is suffering, and it's been so many years, and they're like, it's almost sounds heartless, but they're like, yeah, we don't care. Like we have to take care of our own
Right?
first. So I sort of understand what's happening in US with the Ukraine as well. They're saying like I don't even know what's happening in Ukraine. I don't know. I'm hearing there's corruption. I'm hearing uh, they're almost the same people.
Neo-Nazism,
Yeah,
corruption,
neo-Nazism.
neo-Nazism,
Yeah,
state capture, corruption everywhere. Where did the
and if
money
they can
go?
come to
All of
some
these
sort of
things.
peace deal, and if it's not perfect, they don't care. If it's like unfair, they don't care. Like as long as it's not a genocide, they don't care. Or maybe they don't even care about that. I don't know. But I can't kind of understand like in a world we're living now, a lot of people are suffering. They have two jobs, three jobs. They don't really care what's happening, and like
Right?
they
They
haven't
don't
got the
really
luck.
care.
They don't have the luxury of caring about what's happening in the. They cared
Right?
like for the first 6 months when it was happening. Um, but
Like
I was
inviting
even
Ukrainian
guessing
into your
then that like
house.
in
Do you remember?
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember when they invited Ukrainians and then the Ukrainians went to England and then they complained about there being too many brown people in the schools near their kids? I'm not
yeah.
joking. Look it up. It happened. They were like, we didn't know there were this many Muslims here. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah. So they're sort of fitting in perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Like a duck in water.
But
But no,
yeah,
do you know what? I'm also kind of sick and
I'd
tired
rather go.
of Russia.
I'd rather go back to the front line than
I'd rather
be in
go back
school with a
to
brown person.
I'd rather go back to the rubble than be around that black kid with my son.
Yeah. Give me
But
an
you know what? I'm
honorable
also
Russian death. Yeah.
exactly. I'd rather die at the hand of a Kremlin bullets than be given a samosa by a Pakistani.
Yeah.
But no, in all honesty, I'm actually sick and tired of Russia being the global bogeyman.
Mm.
And bear
Oh
with
yeah,
me.
yeah. Of course,
Think
of
about.
course.
I'm
Oh,
actually sick and tired
wait,
of it.
wait, wait. Let me get my translator out again. You're starting to speak
They're
Russian again.
I'm sick of the babushkas being the
Yeah.
global bogeyman of the world. How many
Yeah.
films? Whenever I'm watching a film, even in 2024, who's the
Yeah.
threat? It's Russia. It's the big bad of Russia.
Mm.
Russia is no one's threat. If you're going to
Mm.
look at if you're going to look at like global threats geopolitically, let's all be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. It's not really Russia, is it? I'm sick and tired of them being labeled as the bogeyman. Every single thing is put down to Russian aggression, Russian interference in election, Russian hacking, Russian
Mm.
bellicosity, Russian jingoism. It's such an old trope, and it's no longer actually as true as it once was. Now, I know you're adamantly and vehemently against like Russia for some inexplicable reason, and I'm not actually pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Russia, but what I do agree with is that NATO expansion and incursion past pre-NATO agreed lines is a legitimate cause for concern. If it was any other analogy around the world, if there was some hostile invading army on the Mexican border, which Donald Trump would have you believe there is, if there was someone in Wales or Scotland threatening to come through there and the Outer Hebrides threatening to go into England, we'd be talking the same thing, an incursion into our territorial sovereignty. And I'm sorry, it was a step too far. Red lines are red lines. And
What
Moscow
was the
had
step
the
too
right to
far?
defend itself.
What was the step too far?
The step too far was NATO membership. The
For
discussion of NATO membership of Ukraine.
but there
Ukraine
was
and
a
NATO
there was
membership. That was a step too
when
far.
when was this discussion?
Listen, I don't talk in dates, Ashkan, okay? Just listen to me
Oh
talk, all
yeah,
right?
you're talking feelings. You're talking.
Listen, the first incursion when the Soviet Union was too weak to defend against it was when they started encroaching further and further after pre-Soviet satellites, the Polands, the Bulgarians. When they started
Mm.
signing those people up to NATO membership, it got progressively worse. The first nail in the coffin was the first pre-Soviet nation to join the allegiance of NATO, which was, let's be honest, orchestrated and set up to stop Russian aggression in the future. So, I mean, come on, you have to call a spade here. You can't expect them to have missiles on their doorstep, right? You can't expect them to be a hostile force on their doorstep.
But Ukraine does have missiles, right? Any a country next to each other, they don't have missiles on each other's doorstep.
I don't mean as in like missiles. Okay, don't be facetious. Of course they have
Yeah,
missiles.
but
I'm
have
talking
NATO
about
attacked any country ever?
well, NATO are inherently a defensive force, so no.
Yeah, yeah. But why do you think all the countries around Russia like to join NATO?
Um, I suppose the big old bogeyman threat is still there, right? And also, it's
There,
nice to be part of a club. It's nice to be
yeah,
part of a club. It's nice.
yeah,
It's
but they
nice
were
to get
part of a
the
club called Soviet Union. They don't really fancy that.
Well, why do they fancy NATO? I wonder. They want an umbrella of defense
Because
against their old paymasters.
they prefer their freedom, and they've experienced what Russia has to offer, and they don't like it one bit.
So, but who are they? Who are they now beholden to? The European Union from Brussels. Brussels is now their daddy. That's their daddy
No,
now.
no. Well, at least they prefer that, and the independent countries they can choose. You can't say that Russia can be concerned about NATO, and you can say Russia can even. Well, I mean, they can attack Ukraine and just capture it, but if they have the power, it turns out they don't have the power because if U.S. and other countries help Ukraine, so that was a mistake by Russia, in my opinion. They've like it. this last 3 years, what have they gained? Like a bit of Ukraine is that, and they lost so much money. Like they were part of the world economy. They're not a part of the world economy now. They have to sell cheaper oil to only, I think, China. I don't, and they were
Well, that's all
doing what
changing,
the
Ashkan.
one.
That's all
Let me just
changing. That's
let
going
me
to
just say
change
that.
soon.
Let me just say that as well. They ruined their chance with Nord Stream 2, which would have gave so much gas to Europe. They wouldn't even needed
I
Ukraine
mean,
anymore.
who
Yeah.
who blew up Nord Stream 1?
I don't know who. I'm saying even before the war, they were just creating Nord Stream 2.
Which European nation was the largest co-signator of Nord Stream 1? It was Germany
Germany.
and Merkel.
Germany. Yeah, well, I mean,
Exactly.
Germany is the first
They
country
didn't
that
ruin
was
any
affected.
chance. They didn't ruin any chance with it.
No,
The
Germany
Germans
wasn't.
were more than happy for Nord Stream 1 to continue. They were more than happy to keep paying for Russian gas. But what happened was someone sabotaged Nord Stream 1 pipeline. If Nord
Yeah.
Stream 1 pipeline wasn't sabotaged, they'd still be receiving Russian gas. The German economy integrally is reliant upon cheap gas for their business model to work. It's a
Yeah,
two-way
but
street.
you know that what's his name? Was it Schroeder? No, Schroeder is no.
Olaf,
Who was the
Scholz,
chancellor?
Scholz.
Not Scholz. No, no, no. Before Merkel.
Oh, I don't
Um,
know.
what's his name? Anyway, he's like a part of the
Adolf.
Gazprom. He's like one of the directors of Gazprom, and they were doing Nord Stream 1, and they were constructing Nord Stream 2 as well, which would have doubled up the gas. Germany would have been like the main benefactor, and Germany would have fed everyone else in Europe with the gas. So Germany really suffered in this war. Like it was first, I think, Russia, Ukraine, then Germany, and that's why Germany wasn't really into sending any equipments to Russia for a long time, to Ukraine for a long time. They wanted
Yeah.
the war to resolve. So in a way, it sort of cut the hand of Germany as well and stopped Germany from becoming a superpower in its own right and being very dependent with Russia as well, because there are quite a lot of ties between Germany and Russia. As I was saying, like I can't remember his name, I have to check, but the previous chancellor before Merkel, um, sort of stopped the nuclear, sort of stopped all the nuclear facilities, nuclear energy in Germany.
Yes,
Then they
he
were
did.
really focused on
Yes.
gas, and then he went to Russia and became one of the directors of Gazprom. So that in itself is a sort of a conspiracy that it's worth following up. But well, obviously now the whole thing is gone, and as you said, somebody, I don't know who, there might have been just a mistake. Somebody blew up Nord Stream 1 to
A
really push
mistake.
Germany, just really help Germany to get on board with the plan.
Get on side to get on
Yeah,
board.
yeah, because there was sort of like very iffy about like should we send any missiles or should we just send like helmets for the Ukrainian soldiers, and they were like, okay, now we haven't got any incentives.
Ashkan, you
Yeah.
are notoriously difficult to pin down. You're very slippery. You're very slivering. You're very
What?
sibilant in pinning you down with an actual answer. What is your actual view of Russia and the Ukraine situation?
Um, I've in I think a situation going forward or just what happened.
No, I mean, like, did Russia have a legitimate reason for invading Ukraine?
No, no, nobody has a legitimate reason to invade anyone else. But if you are talking real politics, was it a good move? No, I think Russia underestimated like how resilient Ukrainians going to be and how resilient Europe going to be. They really thought it'll be like a 6 week war. Zelensky gonna escape, gonna run away, and the government going to collapse. They wasn't preparing for this war, but once you're into it, they just carried on, and you're too deep into it.
What do
So
you think about
I think,
Zelensky as an individual,
hmm,
as a leader?
uh,
What do you think about
I think
Zelensky?
I think overall, like when the war started, I think it was very brave of him to like. It was very even though people saying like he's making money and whatever. If he was making money, he had made enough money to just escape. Like there was no point. Like nobody knew what happens. Nobody knew if he had any supports or not. And they were like giving even US was telling him just to leave the country. If you remember, they were preparing for him to leave the
Yeah,
country
yeah,
and just
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
give
yeah.
up. And he was like, no, I'm not leaving. So that was very brave of him to
Not
stay.
anywhere.
I
I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and think like I don't know the ins and outs of the Ukraine war and what he has done, but I've got a very neutral view of him, almost positive. But I think he made a mistake when he how he acted during the talk with Trump, especially at the end. Like he was okay till the very end, but he shouldn't have asked the question like sort of go back and forth with JD Vance. And but I'm surprised also JD Vance is just a vice president, and why is he getting involved so much? And because usually the vice presidents don't act like that. They don't
They,
like sit
they,
there. Yeah, and I'm surprised with Trump as well. Like you see Elon Musk as well doing a lot of work. Yeah, now you see JD Vance too. I don't know if he's just using this to absolve himself of responsibility, or if he's just haven't got that sort of energy anymore, and he is beholden to the people around him.
I think those
I
guys have a
have,
legitimate mandate. I think Musk has a
yeah.
mandate. I think JD Vance has a mandate. I think he was chosen as a running mate because people in the electorate resonated with JD Vance. And think he's been given the concomitant responsibility and the free path to be able to do things and say things, just as Elon Musk has as well. Elon Musk is bloody revered by a large section of US society. And the Department of Doge is revered for the work they're doing by a large section
Mm,
of American society as well. So it's only
mm,
right that they should be heard, right?
mm.
It's probably gonna blow up in his face there, to be honest with you, because they're volatile individuals, especially Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think it's not going to stay the same. I think Elon Musk, there are some cracks now. He's not as popular as
Mm.
he thinks because he's actually doing cuts to places that people actually like the part of the federal government that people actually are happy with. I think he got rid of the department that was dealing with fraud and like fraud
Yeah, yeah,
protection.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I see like I look at the comments section usually on all the different outlets, and even on X a lot of people are questioning him in regards to yesterday, what happened yesterday. Even on Fox News comment section, if you look at it, a lot of people are saying like that's no way to treat like Zelensky, to treat
For
a head of
sure.
government for whatever reason, and because it felt like a bullying as well. He's on his own, he's talking in second language, and these guys are jumping in and just telling him like you haven't got the cars, you're nothing, and he's also much smaller than everyone else there. So the optics doesn't look good, and I think they went overboard with it. I think they could have just if Trump had just said like one or two sentence and just said like yeah that's it, let's end this. I think it would have been more uh, it
It
showed
would have
more
been more
authority than
presidential.
just going to
It
back
would
and
have been more
forth with it.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I
yeah,
think American prestige and the office of the president has actually been damaged by that
yeah.
outburst. To be honest with you, the way he conducted himself, actually, instead of projecting himself as a strong man and someone
Mm,
emphatic and resolute, he's actually
mm,
tarnished the office of the land. To be honest with you, because
mm,
those kind of conversations should not be had
mm,
out in terms of in public spheres. So which makes me
mm.
think: was it an ambush? Was it intentional, or did Zelensky goad them into that because he underneath he really doesn't actually want to sign a mineral contract with America? So maybe he intentionally scuppered it. I don't know.
I think it was just tensions were high, and the sort of questions I was I think maybe he had one too many questions asked Zelensky, and he was just holding back, and he couldn't hold back, and I
Mm.
it would have been better for him just to I don't know maybe use a translator that you can always blame things on the translator saying that things weren't translated properly. That's not what I meant. But when you're just saying it yourself, it just looks bad. I need just to go out for a couple of minutes to shoot a couple of children, and I'll be back. Can you hear them?
I
No, you
can hear
can't.
the No,
No,
but I can hear the Adans right
the
now. Are
couple
you
of
talking about
children
shooting
just
the man in the?
uh,
Are you the Adans going right now? You're not talking about going out and dealing with him, are you?
no, no. I think I have
The man
children
in the
outside
mosque.
playing. No,
I can't hear
it's
them,
not.
mate. No,
No, yeah.
no.
Okay. So anyway, I know you have to go as well.
I do.
Soonish.
I'm going to
Yeah.
have to
Okay.
love you and leave you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, so we did a little political thing. We'll talk more about how to get this thing rolling. But I'll post
All right.
this today because this is sort of time sensitive.